Free Palestine. This has been the call for over a year now, and this is because of the evils and heinous acts that Israel has been committing in Gaza, basically only best described as genocide. We don't understand why you'd just be killing human beings for their existence. Like, you do not want to see someone existing, and so you end up killing them. Quite unfortunate. Now, as a Free Palestine campaign, now students in the US across different universities have come out to push for this campaign and just push for the end of genocide in Gaza, because every human being deserves respect, and every human being deserves to live as a human being. No human being is senior or more, deserves to live more than the other one. And Israel, it's about time that you respect human life in Palestine. US universities and students across different universities have been holding protests agitating over the Gaza war increase. The demonstrations across universities have escalated following the arrest of more than 100 demonstrators at Columbia University on April 11th. The students are calling for universities to separate themselves from any companies that are advancing Israel's military efforts in Gaza, and in some cases from Israel itself. Of course, you wonder why this is in the US, and the reason is that Israel has a very cordial relationship with the United States, and the two nations work together to aid each other in times of need. And for Israel at this time, the need for them has been to get more ammunition and equipment for war. And this equipment has been used to terrorize people in Palestine, which is really unfortunate. Now, why students are complaining is because these universities have, the US comprises of a population of basically all races from across the world. And students now feel that the Jewish students have now gotten to a point where they cannot sit, and not just the Jewish, basically students have gotten to a point where they can't just sit and watch human rights being abused by a nation, and that nation is being supported by the nation which proclaims to be a nation of the free, and that is the United States. So police have arrested protesters amid crackdown on students' rallies across the different campuses. London has also not been left behind on these Free Palestine demos. Over the weekend, several thousand protesters gathered in central London on Saturday to call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza as the war on Israel nears its 11th month. Protesters chanted words such as Free Palestine and ceasefire now, marching from Parliament Square to Hyde Park. And a number of people held banners calling on the international community to end its supply of arms to Israel. Pro-Palestinian students and protesters took to the campuses of George Washington University in Washington, D.C. in what has been mostly peaceful demonstration. The students are from different universities, and key among the universities that have come out big is the Harvard University, Columbia University, George Washington University, George Mason, and the American University, among others, just across the US. The students across these universities have been chanting against Israel, the nation, and that's carrying out on what can only be described as genocide. The US police arrested student protesters at the University of Southern California hours after police at a Texas university aggressively detained dozens in the latest clashes between law enforcement and those protesting. So students protesting the Israel-Hamas war are demanding schools to cut financial ties to Israel and deprive from companies enabling its months-long conflict. So how this university is coming is that a lot of these universities are funded by well-wishers. These well-wishers are basically not just in the US, they come from across the world. Some of them are actually from Israel, and some of them are from the US. So why students are calling for this cut of the two is that they feel you cannot be funding a nation that is then committing genocide on another nation. So that's why a lot of these demos are happening. Some Jewish students say the protests have veered into anti-Semitism and made them afraid to set foot on campus. However, these fears have been caused by non-student protesters who've gathered outside Columbia's gates using prejudiced language that has left some Jewish students feeling unsafe. From an inside source at the Columbia University, we've established that even Jewish students are also part of the protests. Basically, how this began, students from the Columbia University set up encampments calling for the university to divest from weapons manufacturers with ties to Israel, and this actually marked the beginning of the demos across universities in the US. From our source at the Columbia University, there has been no open anti-Semitism within the campus. The claims are propaganda being pushed by pro-Israel influencers, unfortunately. As propaganda also is that some media institutions report that all the demos as Columbia University protesters, which is a major media hypocrisy, because all these demos, for the students, it was very peaceful. It's actually been going on for over a week without any cause for alarm. Then when outsiders joined, then that's where now the whole issue of anti-Semitism started coming out. For the Columbia Students University, it was a very peaceful demonstration. And unfortunately, mainstream media has been reporting that it's Columbia University that's causing all these troubles, which is very untrue. There are protests outside. So for Columbia, there is just now, Columbia University, there is 2 protests. One is inside the institution, where it's just the students. And how do we know it's just the students? It's because only students with access cards, that is what we give as students cards, are able to access university. Then there's the second demonstration, which is happening outside, which is basically people who who are in support of the students' cause for calling for this end of the Free Palestine movement. So basically that's what has been going on. And then there are protests which have been rowdy, and some comments have been made, and these again are also part of the people supporting the cause, but they're not within the Columbia institution. In the latest protests, police made arrests after clashing with demonstrators participating in the student-led protests. House Speaker Mike Johnson faced jeers from the pro-Palestinian protesters when he jumped into the fray. This is when he decided to visit the Columbia University. During the visit to the Columbia University, which is the epicenter of the demos, the House Speaker tried asking the students to denounce the protest, but they offered jeers in return, still demanding for the Free Palestine. The students also called for the resignation of the university's president, Nemat Shafik. The students held placards carrying different messages such as Free Palestine, and all U.S. aid to Israel, Free Palestine political prisoners, among other Palestine support calls. Remember, the U.S. President Joe Biden actually just signed a $94 billion foreign funding bill that includes military aid to Israel a few days ago. So again, why these students are demanding a cut between the separation of U.S. and supporting Israel. This is one of the keys. This $94 billion was supposed to help Ukraine in the Russia-Ukraine war, and a bigger part of the chunk of this budget is supposed to go to Israel to fund again what it is they are propagating in Palestine, which is unfortunate because, again, this is a genocide that's going on, and we cannot keep quiet and watch as it happens and pretend that everything is just fine. It's the US, it's the first world, it's a land of the free, but the land of the free is supporting people who are killing other human beings, which is really unfortunate. Why would a nation that claims to be free be facilitating and aiding Israel, who are evidently carrying out a genocide? Like, why? Where is the humanity? What makes the US feel that Israelites are better or should be alive, yet Palestinians should be killed? I don't think that's right in all means. And humanity just dictates all humans are equal humans and everyone should be allowed to live. The package that US is giving will provide Israel with $17 billion in additional aid, despite growing calls for restricting US assistance to the country over abuses in Gaza, where the Israel military has actually killed more than 34,000 Palestinians. Imagine, we're speaking of 34,000, like it's just our statistics. And yet these are humans. 34,000 people have been killed simply because a nation feels they're more superior than the other. And simply because the US has money and funds to support a nation that is killing other human beings. That, by all means, should end. Biden told reporters that the security of Israel is critical for US. How about that of Palestine? So does it mean Palestine is less of a nation? Does it mean that Palestinians are less human beings to Biden? That should not be allowed to be happening, especially in this time. Israel has also been imposing a siege in Gaza, which has restricted the entry of food and vital supplies, like also even access to health. Why would you restrict people from getting aid, food, health? Like, why would you just want to sit and watch people die? What is your interest in seeing people dead? Really now? How is a nation restricting food and health to aid Palestinians not getting the condemnation that the world need to call them out, and punishment from world leaders or powers? Why? We need and we must free Palestine. And this is a call for all humanity and any nation and any leader, whether the G20 or the UN or whoever it is that controls. Please, it's about time we bring to an end these injustices that are going on in Palestine. And my end to this and to you who's watching is that let us all come together and call to the end of this war that is being perpetrated against Palestinians. It's about time we free Palestine.